The view from where we sit is gorgeous, even if we don't fit inside your little portrait. The big picture is enormous, so we don't even have to fit. We after it, true purpose, yeah, we have to get. We mastered it, reporting it live from Black Pew, discussing politics, the culture, and laughing at you. Cause you don't understand the viewpoint, don't mean you up by a few points. You just ain't hip to these new joints we on. The world says to follow they pitch, we set the tone, then we knock it over the fence. Oh yes, it's gone. Them haters screaming loud from the bench. They get the bat and try to copy technique, but they miss the point that I mentioned earlier. I see that you observing the way I strangle this beat. Oh yeah, I'm a murderer. Enough of me, let's get back to this gorgeous view. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Welcome to the Black Pew.
Away a lot. You take away financial gain. So that's what you're asking for. You're fighting, and when you fight them like that,
fight for dollars.
And when
but if you,
okay, I'm telling you, this is a different type of fight.
But if you look at it, I've heard somebody say, like, we are a part of a culture, but some people are not going to change their whole way of life for 14% of the population. And that's what you have to balance. Yes, we can have, yes, allyship is good. Yes, allyship is great for people who have been oppressed. And I think it's hard to balance that with, hey, everything needs to be, like, we should be equaler than it was. Yes, it should be. But it's hard to get to that point when you've got moving goals, you've got moving targets now. You've got different things are changing where you can't say or do certain things. You should now not do certain things. You should do certain things now. And I think every single time that changes, you might lose some people because of they're like, hey, I can't keep up with everything. Like I can't be an ally for. Some people tap out because they're like, look, I was with y'all with civil rights. I was with y'all when women's rights. They're like, I tap out at LGBTQ. I tap out at BLM, even though that's just one part of, like, it's just more about police brutality. But they're like, hey, I'm tapping out certain things at some of these things.
We'll take it to education. Put it this way. We see education focused towards certain neighborhoods or private schools. And if we ever, when we have the conversation on, well, we need to get better funding for better schools, and then we say, well, maybe if we didn't have like these zoning situations to where you had to go to a certain school if you lived in a certain neighborhood, then that wouldn't be an area. Or maybe if the people in private schools took their kids out of private schools and put them in public schools, but see, people in private schools are going to say, you know what, that's where the line stops. I'm all for you guys getting better education. We can find out a way for you guys to get better education, but when you affect my livelihood, that's where it stops. And that's where boycotting 4th of July. Now, I'm not saying people should be forced to have to celebrate it. That's the difference, and that's where the conversation is that we're having now, is because now Juneteenth is being recognized. I believe there's a lot of black folks that are like, you know what, this is our 4th of July. And so they're starting to recognize that and celebrating it as that. But I do believe that the powers that be that give us the ability to celebrate that is America. And so if that's the case, they still should be able to celebrate their independence from tyranny, because say that British won, we probably wouldn't even be able to celebrate Juneteenth. There probably would be no such thing as Juneteenth. We probably still would be in a colonized mindset to where you go to Jamaica and how you see villas and you see people who work at those villas. Those people are no longer slaves. Those are their actual jobs. But if you go there and you talk to the mindset of the people, they live to be maids, waitresses, drivers, all those type of, because those are just, that's the working economy. They don't know nothing about going and working at McDonald's or anything like that. They say, I'm gonna go work at this mansion for this British dude, you feel me? And I'm gonna have a job. Back then, we called those slaves. And so that's what America would look like if the British end up winning that fight. Instead, they did it. So you got more of a progressive mindset. Now, I'm not saying we got the best people, but if you look at America, it has been on a progressive trajectory since that time. So regardless of the fact, we still can't give them their flowers where their flowers is due, because guess what? It is better to live here than it is anywhere else. Let's be real about that.
Okay, but that still doesn't go off of what I'm saying on allyship. When you are being an ally, you are fighting for our equal rights as well, including your presence. You are going to have to stop doing things that oppress black people.
But
you are an ally.
Does 4th of July? Are you
4th of July? Yeah. Now that we have Juneteenth, also we just shouldn't.
So should we get rid of presidents? Because George Washington was a slave owner. Andrew Jackson was a slave owner. I mean,
if you're going to be an ally,
Thomas Jefferson.
Do it all the way, don't do it halfway.
Well, what I'm saying is, but that's what I'm saying though, is like, so the highest office in the land, it used to be held by slave owners, rapists. Thomas Jefferson. All of the, so what I'm saying is, and we celebrate that every 4 years. We parade people across the country to pick one of those people to celebrate that office. So what I'm saying
is that really our choice to do that though? That's really not. That's like something that black people put in play, and
but I think it's
organizing. That's not what I'm saying.
But
what I am specifically saying is just.
Okay, but what if everybody stopped? What if everybody stopped voting? What would they do? They couldn't pick a winner. Right, so So that's what I'm saying. What you're saying
that's not something I'm saying.
But see what you're saying is boycott. So I'm saying you could boycott anything
that are oppressing black folks.
If you voter right, we can go voter rights.
If that's what they feel as an ally, but you can't do. Oh, I'm gonna pick the Black Lives Matter movement, and then nothing else.
I just think two things can be true.
You got to do the where you're spending your dollars, because when you place money into businesses that are oppressing black people, you are a part of the problem.
But
as well.
Can they?
It's just about being just like.
But can they give us our way to? Can they give us our way to live and live their way too? Like, that's just, I mean, that's what I'm saying, because this is the United States of America, right? This is a place where everybody can live. It's supposed to be created for everybody to be able to live their way here. So they should be.
That's not what I'm saying. Okay, no, take away everybody else's rights just so we can.
You can be. I think you can be an ally and not support everything that black people do, because.
I disagree with that.
Well, it's not.
An ally, you have to be on board or not.
But that's not
halfway on the boat.
But it's not being. But if let's say there's a black grocery store and an Asian grocery store, a Hispanic a bodega, and then there is a Caucasian family that owns a grocery store in the same neighborhood. Mm-hmm. You can go to each one. Yeah. And still be an ally to black people. You're still an ally to all people. That's what I'm saying. Like,
yes, you can.
But
if one of those stores, literally backbone of that business, is something oppressing what you fight for in other areas, you are also a part of the problem, because now you're doing a cycle of what? Nothing.
But
because you're not improving or helping anything. You're actually encouraging through your dollar bills. By supporting that business, I
hear what you're saying. I hear what exactly. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what part of what you're saying. Yeah. I'll put it this way: it's like if you're going to the store and you find out that the store is a front for terrorism. Right. You know, but you just like, oh man, the chicken's fire. You feel me? So I'm gonna, I know I know they building weapons of mass destruction, but the chicken's fire. I'm finna still go get the chicken, even though you against whatever they're doing. Like, I hear what you're saying, and so I hear that, but see, for us to also say that is for us to do the exact same thing that we accuse people of doing to the black community and grouping everybody together. Yeah, because if you say that you don't support black people because, like, you don't support black causes because such and such got killed or such and such happened, that's the one reason why you don't support. Let's say they don't support Black Lives Matter because at the Black Lives Matter rally, somebody got shot or something like that, and you're saying they're grouping that whole thing together as one when that's not the case. I think that's the same thing. You can say, hey, if you're supporting that
thing, if that's your gung ho that thing, and you're not looking at everything that's a part of that, that's wrong. Like, because
I totally agree with that.
Because
I do agree with that. You have to look at the whole in order to have your opinion or whatever you feel about at that as a whole. But just because like Black Lives Matter movement and people rallying, and some may have or may not have been a part of the Black Lives Matter movement actually vandalizing things, that's just a person's opinion. Either you're still for the actual fight of equality, or you're just trying to make up an excuse to hurry up and get out of it and not really be an ally. That's what I think. You can make up so many excuses along the way. There's going to be tons of things to be like, questionable, and I want to be an ally over here, but not over here. I want to be an ally to my black friends in their face, but when I go to work, I'm going to watch all the black people get oppressed, and I'm going to be a part of the problem, or the part of the problem with my bosses and everything else. That to me is not a good balance. You have to be the same person here and there.
And so like I hear what you're saying there, and I think that is, unless you are extremely financially stable, like that is a hard ask. Because nobody, no, you want me to tell you something?
Go ahead.
So,
no, I get what I get what you're saying. Like the allyship has to like match your actions.
Yes.
But I think also that it becomes
when
go
you
ahead.
say a but, you remove what you just said. There can't be any but.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
You're right about that. But's remove everything you said before that but erases all that. So I want to challenge you on the aspect of that everybody is the same everywhere that they go. Because I do not believe
they're not. Oh, they're not.
And so
that is the whole purpose.
Well, the thing is
saying.
The thing is that I believe that is the balance of life. See,
not in everything.
No, all right. So I'm gonna tell you something.
I want. There needs to be
last night was
equal.
Saturday night. I don't know how everybody else get down, but you know that Saturday night people probably out there partying. Mm-hmm. It's 4th of July weekend. People probably gonna be partying tonight because they ain't got to work on Monday. But I'm gonna tell you this: as soon as the weekend's over, and people have to go show up into those places that they go earn to provide for their lifestyle.
Right.
They're not the same person that they're at home. You're not the same.
Right.
Real.
You're not supposed to be.
Filter what,
but do you have your morals and work ethic and all that there? You should.
Sometimes,
if you don't, you need to, severe looking inward.
But what I'm trying to help you understand is what you're talking about is the way you feel things should be, and we talk about reality. Because some people are not willing to sacrifice some things for their livelihood. I get that,
and so you got. I'm not saying sacrifice.
No, what I'm saying is your rent might be real.
Listen.
Your rent might be real. Your lights might be real. You know, the food on your table and the clothes on your back is real.
So
when you go on, when you clock in to your 9 to 5, sometimes the direction of it. And so that's why sometimes you see people make a decision and say, all right, I need to create a new direction for myself because they're worn out from doing what they sacrificed to earn. And that's just the life of most people because it's just not that easy to say, this is how I'm going to be at the expense of my livelihood.
No.
Most people are
there
not.
There is a difference between
selves, that. The way most of us act at home or around people that we're comfortable with are not acceptable in those corporate settings that we earn a living in.
Right.
Across the board.
But
there's rare that you go to a place that's acceptable.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. And you can't.
So what I mean by that, though, Marv.
Culture, you see people. They have their own way that they do their culture. Rarely do they integrate people outside of it into it. They handle you differently than they handle people within their own culture. Right. So to ask people to do that is almost unheard of because that is kind of the fabric of what we all are created from is that we keep what we keep in-house. you know, and then
no, I agree with that. Everything in your own culture, in your own communities, everything in house, right? But then why are there those allies in other cultures trying to fight for black culture, for black equality? Excuse me.
Because the thing is when
they can't do that just by saying I'm your ally. What I'm saying is they need to be doing it with action, even if it means in the workplace and they see something that needs to be reported or that is unethical. Well, you're just going to sit there and be quiet and not do nothing? Then you're not an ally. But if you're going to go over here and shop at this whatever business that
but is
a campaigning for Trump or whatever, you're not a black ally.
Is allyship flawless?
No, it's not.
Do you think that all allies of America are part of a democratic democratic nation or any of that sorts? Because all of our allies aren't. We have allies that practice other things other than what we practice. But they're allies of us if we go to war.
And I'm not asking them to practice anything else. This is basically just this is basic common sense stuff.
So what are you asking? Because
if you are
asking
intentional,
to boycott 4th of July, and I mean that's asking people to. That's asking.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's asking people who believe in the fabric of whatever that is.
You can still believe in the fabric of America, but not in all those who created blacks to be oppressed. But you're part of the problem too. If you are okaying that, until there's an equal part.
But if we're talking about this, we're talking about America because we are the only people.
You can have love for the foundation of America.
That's what I'm saying. So Native Americans.
But there's definitely not a love for all of what America is because we're sitting here fighting for our equality. Everybody can't sit there and say, oh, America, America, America everywhere. Why? Because not everybody's equal. No, not everybody's ever always going to be equal to an extent. There's always going to be the differences and all this other stuff. We need that.
I'll put it to you like this. You lived with your parents before, and your parents would tell you if you had a problem with the way that they run their house, then go somewhere else and make your own rules. See, the thing is,
that's
people
exactly what I'm saying. I'm making my own darn rules by fighting for myself, my life, my family. Because not only white people are important, but me and my family are as well.
But then you want your parents to, but you want to have your parents solely stick up for you in your new space, and then you still have your same rules in their space as well. I think you're trying. What you're saying is that allyship should not be you should not hopscotch around, or you shouldn't pick and choose what you want to be an ally for with black people. And I think that's admirable. But I think in realistic terms, there are still some things that we still celebrate, just like President's Day. We had one black president. We had a lot of presidents who, some were racist, some were slave owners, some did things that are things that still affect black people, that still affect Hispanic people, that still affect even poor white people. But I think we don't say you're not an ally if you celebrate or if you partake in President's Day, because we see the totality of that. It's
not necessarily that they're not an ally, but question yourself.
You just said
when you're not being fully what you believe in. I don't feel like that is being.
But if they believe they're fully American, but if they feel like they feel
that's just how I feel. My opinion.
But see, my thing is to be an ally to you. I don't have to believe in what you believe in. Sometimes,
right?
To be an ally, I don't have to. I don't even have to buy into what you are, what your theology, your mindset, or any of that. Like sometimes my actions are just me showing up, is me showing that I'm my ally.
Yeah.
Like the thing is some people don't have to believe that that George Floyd was, a martyr. Some people could look at him and say, well, he committed a crime. But at the same time, they don't believe that the action that happened to him was right. So they showed up at the marches to make sure that the voice of the people were heard. So that's part of being an ally. I may not agree with,
but that's exactly what I'm talking about.
But that's a pick and choose. Because guess what?
That's not a pick and choose.
I picked the murder part of it. I picked the murder part of it to be behind.
That's-
But I still don't pick. I do not pick the man and his actions to be behind. I pick what the other dude do to deem wrong, but I do see, like, that's what I'm trying to say.
But that's what I'm trying to say. Exactly what I'm saying.
You have people out there that believe that George Floyd should have still had police contact. That he was absolutely wrong, whatever,
Everybody has their different opinion on that.
You got a bunch of people who believe that, regardless of the action that what happened to him. There's some people who, even though he died, they don't want to be in part of the protest because they felt he was a criminal. But you also have people who say, even though he was a criminal, you know, I'm going to be an ally for these people because their voice needs to be heard. I don't agree with how they live. I don't agree with everything that they do. You know, that's what it is. You could have neighbors. They could be noisy neighbors. They could be acting up, having parties all the time. But as soon as the police show up, you could be like, you know what? They may be acting rowdy, but I don't want to see this happen to them. So I'm going to go over there and I'm going to be an advocate for them so they don't get any further trouble than they are right now. That's being an ally. Because guess what? You helped me progress.
Because your presence. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But you didn't change your lifestyle to be an ally for me.
Really?
You didn't change any part of your ally.
Being an ally is making sure you are making some changes so you can change what you're fighting for.
But that's what I'm saying. It depends
you
on
can't
what you,
just
it depends
think
on what
that
you're
your presence
for.
constantly is just being an ally. Yes, it helps being an ally just for your presence, but that's not all what allyship means.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. That is true that some changes do happen. I think that's fair. Some changes do happen with people who are allies, but I think not. Their completely metamorphosis into some different creature is not needed. I don't need everybody to believe the black is king. Right. I don't need everybody to be like the black kids that are going to be kings and queens or whatever.
Right.
I don't need people who are allies of black people to realize that, think about that. I don't need them to do anything because eventually somebody's going to say, well, is my kid less than? And that's what we're doing now with CRT. Right. Is that people think, oh, I'm less than because we're acknowledging inequities in the system. But I do need you to realize that with those black kids, the black boys and girls, that they need someone to advocate them more than black people. They need someone to say, hey, those kids weren't doing nothing wrong, or hey, give them the same opportunities as you give everyone else. That's allyship in spaces that we're not at.
I'll put it to you this way.
I agree with that part.
Coronavirus. You got a lot of people.
Why'd you do that to it? Coronavirus.
Because you got a lot of people who don't want to take the vaccine. You know,
right?
And there's this spirit going around that make people who don't take the vaccine feel like they're unclean or that they're dirty or that they are less than. And that people who take it are better than others. And they've created an environment to show you that. You know? But at the same time, even though you don't get a vaccine, right? You still see people wearing masks and trying to socially distance and trying to. So that is a form of being an ally. I may not buy into your change. Yeah. I'm not gonna change the way I live because you want me to.
I might not take the vaccine, but I'll take the sickness still serious.
I still take it serious enough to be an ally so that we can do whatever we can to eradicate this thing. You know,
I agree. That's exactly what I'm saying. But you're not. I'm not placing it on those topics or categories you're putting. I'm talking about merely for black equality.
But no, he's making
I know that was an analogy.
Yeah.
I get that. But what I'm saying is
right now, when we talk about Juneteenth and July 4th of July, 4th of July is the fabric of what America is made off of so that we're able to celebrate Juneteenth, so that we're able to celebrate Black History Month. I know these aren't the most perfect.
The foundation of things. We are obviously all know that there needs to be major changes from what was created.
That's what I'm trying to. That's what I want
you
people to
can't keep trying to celebrate something that you think is wrong.
But that's what
something
I'm trying
that the fabric of everything has been wrong.
Until this year, Juneteenth wasn't acknowledged. Besides, no, hold on, time out. Juneteenth wasn't acknowledged outside of the black community as a holiday. It is a national holiday in this country now.
Right.
That's progression. That's change.
That is
the
progression.
exact change you're asking for.
But that does not mean to stop.
We'll this way. Well, no,
that doesn't mean,
well, hold
oh
on.
my God, we got Juneteenth now, so we should just let them keep running over us.
That's what I'm trying to help people.
Not.
That's what I'm trying to help people understand. 60 years ago, people couldn't eat in the same restaurant if you weren't the same color. Now you can. That's change. Over time, progression comes. See, the thing is, everybody wants instantaneous change, and it doesn't happen that way.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, but what I'm trying to tell you is people that were sitting in black only restaurants 60 years ago, they see the change now because they can go to Denny's and eat with a white person. You think that the change isn't happening, but for them,
no, that's not what I said at all.
But guess what I'm saying?
I'm saying you can't sit there and say, okay, now that there's something that just
I'm trying to tell you
changed,
is your whole lifetime.
now it's time for us to just sit back.
What I'm trying to tell you is your whole lifetime. What I'm trying to tell you is your whole lifetime. You've never even need to know. You never even had to know that. But there's people. But there's people that we live around.
I think you need to know where
you. No. I'm saying feel that the separation of had to be eating a different place because of your skin color. You never had to know that. But there's people who live.
There's plenty of other things that I had to know.
There's people today that right now that saw that, and so the fact is they see. No, what I'm trying to tell you is they see the fact that you can see that. They also probably didn't have a full month of Black History Month. So they see the fact that we can do that. They didn't have Juneteenth. No, they didn't have Juneteenth to celebrate as a holiday.
Right.
Now they can do that. They could not vote. Now they can do that. So what I'm trying to tell you is change happens over time. It's not instantaneous. So it's been happening the whole time. You've been complaining about it.
I'm not complaining about it. I'm saying don't be half-assed with your shit. That's what I'm saying to all black people, all white people, anybody who is saying
I don't know what you're
their
talking about.
allyship, you can't do halfway. You can't sit there and say, "Oh my gosh, we have Juneteenth now, so let's just go ahead and stop."
That's not what people are saying.
No, I don't think
people are celebrating Juneteenth happening just like when Black History happened.
Can I finish?
It's like progression.
Can I finish?
This happened. Great, America. Let's keep going.
I know. No, you did not say that. You said it's supposed to be. Oh no.
But I think you can. I think you can do both. You can celebrate where you're at. You can celebrate that there's more work to do. It doesn't look like enough, but at the same time, like when there's construction on a new road, they might open up a.
When I need you.
They might open up a lane. They might open up a lane. They might open up a lane, but still keep the two other lanes closed because they're not done yet. And I think the problem with what I hear you saying and what Marv is saying is that you're like, you can't stop it. You can't stop it. You got Juneteenth, cool. And then Marv was like, no, people aren't stopping it at Juneteenth because there's been progression, but there's been progression all the time. But I do see that we do acknowledge also with the progression, hey, things haven't progressed as much as they should because they keep going back. They keep closing down the other lane. They keep saying, hey, we have to do more construction, or there people keep striking, or people keep saying, hey, just in this analogy, people they mess up the cement, or somebody drives on the wrong side and then they cause an accident. And so, but I think also the progression is still happening.
Of course. Well, I think you just can't ask imperfect people to be perfect. That's one thing.
Yeah.
So the neighborhood me and my family just moved to is in Pew Crew. It's still a developing neighborhood, right? The street to get into the neighborhood, it's a dead end, but it doesn't say dead end because at the end of the street there's a sign. And it says this road will continue beyond this point, but you only see that sign. Behind it is wilderness. It's chaos. Trees everywhere. You have no idea what's going to go there, but they have a vision for better development there, and that's what the black community is in America. When you build on something, first it's just a land. It's just there. It's blank canvas. They had no idea what America was going to be like them when they first got here. They didn't look at the intense torture and labor hours and somebody profiting off of that. They didn't look at that. And so when they got the opportunity to create a structure for them, it was a blank canvas. They had no idea to create civilization from nothing. And so we have to realize that our progression that happens came from nothing. That's why we are one of the strongest cultures here, because we built something from scratch here. So we can't always look at the people that beat us up and be like, this is why I'm hurt. Of course that's why we hurt, because we got punched in the mouth. But what you gonna do about that?
We keep getting up.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. When you're in a fight, you gonna get hit. There's not very many people who are in fights that don't get hit. Even Floyd Mayweather get punched in the fight. But the thing is, are you able to handle that punch? They take punches from us too. And so that's the thing. When these happen, we have to celebrate these small victories. If you're building, say you're building a house, you know, first, when you realize that when the surveyor comes out and looks at your land, you realize you got good land, that's a celebration. You know, when you get a good foundation set, that's a celebration. You know, when you get the skeleton of it, you get happy. You driving by, that's a small celebration. You know, all the way, all final inspections, move-ins, all that. People take all those wins and they don't stop from there. It's just motivation of why we need to keep going. See, the thing is, if we weren't getting these things, then these will be discouraging. But the fact that we're getting these victories is more motivating to why we gotta stay in the fight.
Exactly.
So when we hear what you're saying, but my thing is fighting is not boycotting what they're doing.
I didn't say for us to. I said for them to.
No, but that's what I'm trying to say is us accepting them is not them disavowing who they are.
Right.
It's them just acknowledging who they are and the resources that they have to help us progress. And so if that's the case, we cannot be turned off to who they are, but make them accept who we are. That's not how you get anything progressed forward. And so I can't tell you, Kendra, hey, I want you to help me make $100 million. But guess what? I do not care for who you are at all.
I don't care if you make any money either.
How are you going to go forward with that? Begrudgingly. So my thing is when we're asking for progression, the progression has came in those moments when people with logical minds have went down in those rooms and sat down and had the conversation. Not the ones that are yelling angrily and aggressively outside. Because when you're yelling angrily and aggressive outside, they're like, I ain't got time to hear none of that. Mm-hmm. You ain't never wanted to. Y'all don't like hearing me when I get loud. And I could be saying the most right stuff, but that's the thing. Nobody wants to accept that. And so my thing is that there has to be an approach, and our approach isn't that. There's a different way for us to fight.
It may not be for you. It may not be for you, and it may not be for tons of millions of other black people. For me, I'm not going to have somebody I know, which majority of my friends are different cultures, different nationalities. But you won't be sitting in my face telling me that you're going to be doing this and you do a whole nother and then I'm so pro-black when you're white.
Do you know a lot of cultures are taught to be anti-black when they come here, right?
Yes, I know.
So if that's the case, right? So are you telling them to disavow their culture?
No. But I am.
So I'm confused.
But I am who I am. I can't tell them if you did. First of all, if you dislike the black culture, you're not going to be black. You're not going to be friends with black.
I'm confused on what you're asking because it's like you only want it in one area, but you saying that everybody else.
First of all,
because
if they're chill the hell out.
I'm being honest. I'm just
Second of all, you just now said, okay, a whole person is being taught not to like black people. Why would they be friends with a black person anyway? So that person doesn't even equate in the conversation we're having right now, because obviously that's not a friend I would have. If they already don't like black people, they're not going to be friends with me, right?
But they still involve in the practices.
Somebody I'm talking about.
But they still involved in the practices of the culture of the people who taught them that, though,
I'm
right?
not talking about that individual anymore now, because you said they are taught from their culture.
I'm just saying I'm confused.
They don't like black people.
I'm confused.
Great. That's something I can't.
The direction of the conversation.
I
know a lot of Mexicans I know a lot of Spanish people
too.
who were taught
My baby's
that.
Dad
No, I know
is.
a lot of Spanish people who were taught that, and I've dated Spanish women whose parents hated me. I know African people who were taught that, and I've dated African women whose parents hated me. But
I'm
when it
merely
came
talking about those that you know.
Sometimes when it came to the values of their
to
culture,
hold them accountable for being your ally, they can't do shit.
No, but what I'm saying, when it came to the values of the culture of the people who told them, they never disavowed the foundations of that culture, which means that, in a sense, they still accepted that.
But
training.
if they see you, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. If you say they can't half-ass any support for black culture, that's it. If they can't,
as a friend, and some, I'm gonna even say people you don't even know, like he just now said, the people that are being taught from birth to just dislike a different culture. You can't do anything with that. You're not gonna spend your entire life trying to help one person see the better of someone else. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying those who are sitting here saying, I'm an ally. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be here in the present, show some support. I am not going to do this, that, and the other. I'm going to call out stuff. Mm-hmm. That's being an allyship, along with many other things to do. But you can't sit there and do one thing and be sitting here talking to another person or seeing something else being done or supporting a business that you know is so against black equality. That's counter-interactive. That doesn't make no sense whatsoever.
Okay, so if you're telling me if you got an Asian family, right?
No, let's not do that anymore. I don't need any more analogies, though, Mark.
I'm just going to use this for example. You got an Asian family that have a store, right? They don't believe in the black culture, but they have a son that does, right? So what you're saying is that he should no longer support his parents because they have a different ideology when it comes to black culture than he does. And that's where I'm at. Because what I'm trying to help you understand is, even if and this may not be personal to your friends, but I'm saying in I'm talking about in my situation, people I know that are, because I don't just know black people. You feel me? I'm 36 years old.
Let me ask you a quick question. One quick question.
I went to a very multicultural high school, and I still talk with most of those. It's almost 20 years. I still talk to a lot of those people. What I'm saying is I know one thing. I know that we were cool, but I know that their families taught a different type of ideology, and I know when it came to doing what helped me versus doing what their family wanted, they always chose this over this. So what I'm saying is that a lot of times you're saying people can't be halfway in and support cultures that don't support black culture. But what I'm saying is the generation beyond the generation that you're talking about all have problems with supporting black culture. So the thing is what you're telling me is that you can support them, they can support you, even when they turn around and support the generations that don't support us.
I didn't say that either. I think that's fine. I think that is, you can support. Okay. Now all the crap that you just said just totally confused.
But I think let's just we can wrap it up here. I think also the thing about it is like you can't. Well, I was gonna say I want to talk about Bill Cosby too.
My man is free. My man is free.
But no, I think allyship is important. I think also we have to give grace and we have to give room for improvement, because also sometimes we have elements that aren't our best allies as well.
Mm-hmm. I think that allyship is very important, and I think as well as we focus on people being an ally for us, we should focus on being great allies to other people. And Marv,
I don't think you know what the definition of allyship means. Right, I think you need to look that one back up.
Okay,
I'm so serious. Everything that you
I've been studying allies for my whole life, but
you are very intelligent.
I just feel like you just call me stupid right now.
I feel like
that's cool. No, that's cool.
Are so smart.
No, that's fine.
That sometimes when you say stuff, it doesn't make any sense.
That's fine. That's totally fine. I'm good with that. I'm cool with that. I will live with that. Cool.
How did y'all feel about Bill Cosby?
I'm good with that. You feel me? I'm cool with that.
Oh my gosh,
good at night with that. You feel me? That's my guy. You feel me? I'm gonna tell you something right now. And just be real. You know, it doesn't take away from victimhood. Yeah, that's one thing it doesn't take away.
True.
It doesn't take away from victimhood. It doesn't if he's made any chicks uncomfortable, like I can understand that. But I still have a hard time hearing some of these stories, and the only reason, and I actually heard a story from his attorney in this actual case, and from what they were saying is the girl that was on trial, he never even gave her drugs, never gave her Quaaludes. The pills that he gave her was Benadryls. Yes, the lawyer just came out and the whole deposition. Like, it's crazy. That's why
that's what happens when you change the wording of things. People get to translate it the way they want. Instead of saying Benadryl, they said drugs. So it made it seem.
And so with Bill Cosby, they were saying that he made a deal.
Yeah, he made a deal.
And so when he made the deal, he said some things, not understanding that they would be used against him because
they weren't supposed to be.
They weren't supposed to.
They weren't supposed to be.
And that's the technicality that got him off.
But that's a long technicality,
right?
3 years for like 2.5, 3 years, and because part of it was because there was a different DA, there was a different prosecutor.
Is it a long technicality, or is this just the way that the processes go? Because you got to think about it, it had to eventually reach Philadelphia Supreme Court.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Right. That doesn't happen in a couple months. You know,
right.
So
true.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. That's just the process. I mean, the thing is he could have never got to that process, and he could have been cooked. Like we probably could have never seen Bill Cosby free again.
Not till for at least 10 years, because he wasn't gonna.
Come on, for at least he wasn't.
Yeah, because he wasn't gonna.
He looked at bad shape behind.
He wasn't gonna admit. He wasn't gonna admit.
No.
He wasn't gonna take the counseling.
No.
He wasn't gonna do nothing. He was
because
like, look,
for himself, it was a witch hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it would have been admitting guilt.
But do we then apply the same?
And he'd have to, no, not R. Kelly. No,
not R. Kelly, because I know that's not R. Kelly.
To
Weinstein, to Harvey.
Hell no. See, that's the thing.
Because that's already
in the works.
Mm-hmm. But see, my thing is, for me, I'm not. Now this is where we talk. This is where the allyship comes in.
Yeah.
This is where the allyship comes in. See, the thing is we've been seeing black folks be ostracized by the judicial system. Bill Cosby's lawyer spoke on this. Do you know how many men are possibly behind bars in the same situation because they cannot afford the type of legal defense that would go that far to make sure that conviction was overturned? Like, come on. Like, there's not. So my thing is when it comes to somebody like a Harvey Weinstein, like, regardless of the fact I'm not about to celebrate you getting out, bro. You know, because there's so many men like you that get away with doing wrong things in the judicial system. Yeah. So that's when I want to see more support for somebody like Bill Cosby, regardless on how you feel about, like, to me right now, it's two separate things. The active, because the thing is what people don't understand, he can still go to jail.
Yeah, if something,
if they bring up one of these other charges and they can get some actual proof that's going, some substantial proof that's going to hold, some good evidence, he could go back to jail. It's just on this one count, he was not supposed to be even tried. Mm-hmm. And so the bad part about it is they're gonna have to find some other women to testify, because all the women who testified in this trial are gonna be burnt.
Yeah, exactly. And they also can't use, because they were saying what the thing was that they also used testimony from people who weren't in the initial suit as character witnesses, and they were saying that this could be a blow to that in further cases, no matter if it's sexual assault, any other crime, because now they're like, look, but I think also it's like, if you don't set up a deal with somebody who's done stuff just to get a confession, because wasn't that one for the deposition he did, wasn't it for the civil? It was for the civil suit. And see, that's the thing. Like, if you're not going to set up something that's civil, you need to be like, look, if you're going to tell us something, no, we probably will prosecute you from now on. But you have cases further.
But it was deeper than that, because that's the thing. It wasn't that same DA.
Yeah. That's right. True. It was a new one.
Actually, it was the one who was competing with him at the time for a certain job. They're like they were fighting for the,
Oh,
the DA
okay.
job. So that was the judge presiding over the case. The judge that was presiding over the case was the former like DA or whatever that had the beef with this initial one. So when he seen this come across his desk, he was like, "Oh no, we'll
run it back."
And that's why they blocked all appeals, all motions to remove the witnesses, to get this thrown out. They filed motions. They blocked all those so that they can try this man. And so this had nothing to do with Bill Cosby. It was like a very personal issue, and it was a high profile case. So it was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this.
Yeah. Because if they had to let it go, then people would have came back at the state like, y'all didn't even try the boy, and y'all had evidence. Y'all had 50, 60 women, and I think people saying that it's people not celebrating, but like Felicia Rashad, she was like, I'm glad Bill is out. This was miscarriage of justice, and people came for her, like serious, and they came for her job, and she has to take what is it, sensitivity courses.
Yeah.
I thought she had to issue apology. I thought they was gonna fire her too, because the school. Because she came on so hard for Bill Cosby.
Oh, because she supported him. Her employer was going to fire her.
The school.
How did they have any?
They reprimanded her. They said that they support victimhood and all this other stuff. But
that's her own personal beliefs, though. Why? How can they have that?
So she came out. So it was how she came out, because she said, "At last, like justice at last," or something like that. And so people were like, but
not justice
he
for
still
the victim.
did exactly.
Right.
And so she came back out and said, like, I support victimhood and all that. So they had to try.
If she had said that before,
but she came out. She came out too late and said that. She it was two separate statements. If she would have kind of merged them in and said, if she would have started off and said, hey, I wanted all the victims, yada, yada. I just wanted to let you know that, hey, but Bill Cosby's a mentor to me, and I felt like this was wrong how they did him. That's a different type of statement. She probably could have skated away with that one. But how she did it was just like, oh, yeah, all y'all MS wrong. And that's kind of how she came out. She didn't say it like that, but how she came out like, all y'all MS wrong.
She put the picture of him up so fast. That was quick. And I was just like, but at the same time, you understood because they were cultural icons.
He changed that woman's life.
He changed her life,
right.
And then they ran it back, and we still hold her in high esteem because of that show.
Right.
And this doesn't really change much, just in cultural sense. People are like, oh, like, but at the same time,
they're always gonna remember this. They always remember
exactly.
something
We're
that
always gonna
happened
remember them in bed at the end of the night.
Yeah.
Well, because I don't know, I can't remember what movie this is right now, so on the tip of my tongue. But she did a movie, and it actually made me mad because she was always like that mom, like the nice, sweet mom, and then they put her in this movie where she was like this very vindictive, ugly.
I know. I think I know.
Four Color Girls.
Four Color Girls.
No, it was something like that. It wasn't even. I don't even.
Yeah, I know what movie you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
It was like a wedding movie or something like that.
Yeah. I can't remember the name, but I seen her in that too.
Wait, hold on. Let's look. Hold on.
She was super vindictive.
Hella vindictive.
She was not nice.
I did not like that movie. I said, "Oh man, they did my girl wrong up in here." This ain't.
But it's good to be able to try different roles too, to see how you're good or not in different roles.
But it's crazy how roles will make us feel about people because there's some people who you hate, you'll always hate.
Yeah, right.
Like there's some people who you always hate. Right. Like
Kevin Hart. Look at him doing a whole bunch of different roles, or Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, but like what's her name?
Kevin Hart don't do a whole bunch of different roles. Kevin Hart just do a whole bunch of different movies.
He does a whole different movies.
Kevin Hart do him in a whole bunch of different movies.
He does a little bit. But I think like take for instance like Josh Brolin. He played Thanos.
Who?
He played Thanos in
Yeah, but then
I'll
he also,
always associate his voice.
But he also played Cable.
True.
In you feel me? In
that
what's
is
the name?
true.
You know, like it's all in Deadpool. So,
I'm trying to look at what movie y'all are talking about because I'm looking at the her IMDb.
But it is, you know, I'm trying to think of somebody that makes me feel that way. This is like I can't stand them because of their character, and I don't think that anybody. But I think that I don't look at entertainment that way.
Right.
Like I don't think I like value. Now I don't look at evil characters that way.
True.
Good characters, I kind of attach them to that character. You know.
You're talking about Still Magnolias?
No. It's like it was a wedding movie. It was something to where she didn't want her son marrying some woman or something like that, or vice versa.
Dang it.
And she was like super rich and whatever. And she
Fall from Grace, I believe it was.
Was it?
A Fall from Grace.
It might have been Fall from Grace. Was
Yes, Fall from Grace.
Was it recent?
That's what it was.
It
Yes,
was recent.
it's this
okay.
one.
See?
It is the one to Fall from Grace.
Hold on, let me see her picture in it. Like, let me see. Nope.
Yes, it is. This is Fall from Grace.
But then
This
it's gotta be
This
for
is
color.
Nope. It was. I know what it
Yeah.
was.
What?
She was the mom.
Nope. It was Creed.
Oh, yeah, oh, what? No, she didn't stop her from. She didn't
She
stop
was
her.
nasty in Creed.
No, she wasn't.
To him, yes, she was at first.
She was. Oh, okay,
Yes, she was
okay.
at
A little,
first.
a
So
little.
Fall from
Yes,
Grace.
she was
A little
at
bit.
first.
But
She
even
was.
if a
That's
Fall
what it
from
was.
Grace, she was not a very good.
She
she
true.
wasn't a
She
nice.
wasn't a good friend.
It was because you got to remember in Creed at first he reminded her too much of
Creed, Apollo.
of his infidelity because he was born out of.
Oh,
You remember? So she treated him like you remember. So she treated him a certain way because he wasn't a Creed.
Yeah.
By nature, he was only a Creed by blood.
By blood, yeah. True.
And so she felt a certain type of way about him.
I was talking about a Fall from Grace.
But then they
That's
eventually,
when I was like,
did
what the
Yeah,
heck?
eventually come around,
to
yeah.
that. But that wasn't until the end of that movie, and then
the second movie.
second one,
Yeah. Yep.
So,
But okay, and then let's talk about the track star.
she's a runner. She's a track star. That's why. You want me to tell you something? That's her theme song. That should be her theme song. I think that they should sponsor her with that theme song.
Nike still kept her.
I think that they should have been happy that
They
she smoked weed. It's like maybe we got an advantage. You feel me? Like she got burners.
Yeah, right. I'm like,
Isn't it? Isn't she?
Think they want
She's still
some
able to do
control
like
over-
one of the races, or she won't be able to do for none of them. Like,
no, she's
Yeah.
she's
because I thought she only got 30 days.
no, she can't run at
but
all.
I don't,
according to what I last read.
That's why.
That's what I was conflicted.
From what I've seen, I don't think she can compete. I don't think she can compete at all.
That's what I was conflicted about.
I did hear that there was a month ban.
It was a month ban, but
I do believe.
Is it going to put her?
I'm pretty sure within that month, that's usually all those games that she would be competing in.
I think so. Yeah, because even Biden spoke on it. I was surprised about that. He was like, but I mean, his record
Biden's
on
culture vulture, so
yeah, but
anything that happened to black people right now, Biden's speaking on.
But
I'm gonna tell you right
but
now.
his take on it, like, cause they fired people that had weed, that had said they smoked weed, or there was like people who either tested positive sometime in their career or said that they smoked weed in the past. People who were like interns and stuff,
Yeah.
they let them go.
Yeah.
When the transition happened, they let them go. People that were on the campaign, and so it's kind of like, you really don't need to be talking about nobody.
He culture vulture.
About weed or nothing,
culture
because
vulture.
and I think like people are like, there's this big conversation online about weed should be legalized everywhere, which I don't mind. I like the conversation. It needs to be had, but I think also
I don't know about everywhere.
And that's the thing. I don't think
America, we have a kind of a open-ended kind of mindset to where we can accept that. There's some places that still have a hard time accepting. That got some catching up to do.
Yeah,
Like, I'm just saying.
yeah. And you're not gonna the progress is gonna be slow.
can't legalize weed before you legalize women's rights in some places. I'm just gonna say, I'm just saying, like that's a backhanded thing.
But I do think the conversation needs to be had, like, because you got, what is it, NFL and the NBA relaxed their rules on marijuana.
They did.
I do think she owns the responsibility, though. I think she did that fine. Was like, hey.
Well, and this is my unpopular opinion, but when I first seen her,
He said unpopular.
no, for real, because this is, some people will say, yeah, well, what is a woman racer supposed to look like, and all this and all that. But when I seen her, I was like, oh, she ain't serious. You feel me? As soon as I seen her, I was like, oh, she ain't serious. She is not serious. She is not. And I didn't know, like, sometimes I'm late to the party when it comes to like some of these runners and stuff like that. Like, I'm usually late to the party when it comes to track and field. So I had never heard of this chick before. So everybody talking about her, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm like, "Oh yeah, she don't look serious." When I seen her put them burners on, that's what I'm saying. That song in my head, she's a runner, she's a track star. Like literally, as I'm watching it, that's all I'm thinking about. And so, but I'm still seeing her, and I'm still saying she ain't serious. So for me, the act of her smoking, people saying, "Oh, forget about it," that still speaks to me to the level of seriousness that you have. It's not about that if you smoke weed or not. See, people, you go to like the NFL or the NBA, they relaxed it, but when they weren't relaxed, they don't test like that.
Mm-hmm. True.
But the tests were at specific times that you knew were coming.
Mm-hmm.
So if you failed it, you were just an idiot. And so the people that we continue to see fail, whatever training camp or whatever, when they did the original drug test, they failed it then, and so you get put on these lists to always show up in any city at any time and test you.
Yep.
But all you had to do is pass that, and you're good. I'll tell you like this: since it's legal in the NFL now, I done showed up to players' houses, and they had a gas mask on. And they getting ready to go into training camp. But they were smart enough to not get popped. And so, like, my little sister, she lived in Baltimore. She used to kick it with the Baltimore Ravens. I done been to their condos. I don't see weed on the table. They just rolling up, smoking, like they ain't got no worries in the world. But they wasn't getting popped because they knew. So my thing is to her is she didn't care enough. Mm-hmm. Because if she cared, she would have passed the test. Boom. And so we don't know how they work because they could test you before you go and then test you when you get over there. Mm-hmm. So you might say, hey, guess what, guys? I can't party right now.
Before.
Right. So you're saying be smart and don't do it at all, or be smart and don't get caught?
No, what I'm saying is either be smart and don't get caught, because right now there's a DJ Vlad video out with Lamar Odom talking about how he got on the U.S. Olympic team and he used a prosthetic penis. Oh. They were using fake pee. Mike Tyson talked about how many times he used fake pee.
Really?
Because his biggest thing was cocaine. But he said the one thing he couldn't stop was smoking weed. So when he was catching like charges and stuff like that, he would have to do pees or do all that, or fights and all that. He would just use prosthetics, And then he would, make a little joke like, hey, you want to see this black thing? And they would be like, oh, turn it, And then he would go and do a little prosthetic thing or whatever. And Lamar Odom was talking about because he had a big issue. And to get on the Olympic team, he said, I had to play in the Olympics, so I used, a prosthetic.
Dang.
Prosthetic, fake pee, Mike Tyson used to use real pee in the prosthetic because, when you're doing it at that level, they probably
watching you.
Yeah, or testing for because of synthetics.
Well, and you would think also because it's the IOC, you would be like, look, 880 days on either side of the Olympics, you would have been like, no, I'm not going near any foods. I'm not going near any smoking. I'm not going near anybody who. And yes, I think people are like, oh, she lost her mom. She was going through a lot. Like I understand
that off.
I understand. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I was saying, because I'm like, there's been players who have played in NBA, NFL games, who played tennis, who've done all these things.
I wouldn't even use some of those because
without
a lot of those dudes be high. I'm gonna tell you right
now. Well, no, true, but there's some who've had great games on the other side of somebody dying.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, these dudes be in the locker room drinking. They
I heard
before
someone
the
said,
games,
yeah.
You feel me? Like,
Out in the open.
Some cats be having bottles of Hennessy in their lockers. Like, so they like.
But they know.
That's what I'm saying. It's a difference because for them, they can use, they can self-medicate to cope and go play. When you're dealing with something like the Olympics when it's international. It's
right,
different.
and it's also different when once it's in a reporter's hand and make it national, then now those coaches and things have to make it. Oh, well, how are we going to do it? They may know.
Yeah.
But that is the public doesn't, so that's where it also
Yeah, because if you got a
play.
beat writer who knows that you take a couple shots of Hennessy,
Well,
they might lead it out.
So what I'm
Right.
going to tell you guys too is that's not 100% true because a lot of these writers, in order to continue to get these inside scoops, balance on the knowledge that they tell and the knowledge that they hold.
Yeah, no,
There's
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
There's a lot of them. We'll talk back that be in these locker rooms that see the fights and the drinking and the dysfunction, and they will never ever tell a soul about it because it hurts the integrity of their journalism and the trust that the players have of coming to them.
Right.
And so they won't say, "Oh."
But that doesn't mean it always is going to be like that. But yes, and I think that's a good thing that most of them don't, because that's a part of.
You get bottom feeders looking for notoriety that may catch a wind of a story and probably put it out there. But there's no respected journalist that will ever put any information out there. Like, that's why we don't. Michael Jordan just put out the Last Dance, and they're drinking Miller High Lifes and stuff on the training tables in the arena, smoking cigars. None of us ever knew none of that.
Phil was coming in.
Amar Rashad sitting right there.
Yeah.
And we like, Amar Rashad, you knew everything. He didn't tell us nothing.
And just like
was
Stephen,
he asked?
Just like Stephen A. Well, no, I mean,
I don't think he was.
Well, that's kind of
if
true
he
too.
wasn't
Like,
asked, then of course he shouldn't say nothing.
But journalism is not about responding to questions. It's about asking and answering questions. So my thing is they get information to divulge to other people, but they chose what they held because see, the thing is you to get access like that. You don't want somebody to say, you know what, we don't want him in here no more because he tell everything.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what, I see all this going on, but I want you to tell me, what do you want us to tell? What do you want us to say? And what's good and what's not good? And then there's, this environment, we don't want nobody to know about this. This is how we get down.
Like Stephen A. was saying how he covered Allen Iverson. Yeah. He was like, look.
A lot of stuff.
He was like, look, there's some things I know. There's some things I'm not going to say. He was like, but if there's something that somebody else finds out before me, and you could have told me, we're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And if there's something you don't want out, I'm not going to get left holding the bag. They're like, hey, you should have known this about your player before so-and-so from a different paper. He's like, either I'm going to run the story without you, or I'm going to run the story with you.
Yeah.
And
they were to this day, him and AI still close because they built it. That's how they had to build their relationship based off of trust.
That's how I feel like Shannon is with LeBron.
So all right, so Shannon is iffy sometimes because he's very like that with LeBron. But not too long ago, he just put Julio Jones out there on the air because Julio Jones was in. He hadn't left Atlanta yet. He hadn't been traded to Tennessee. And they were talking about potential teams that he might go to. But he had never said that he wanted out of Atlanta yet. And so Shannon Sharp, he's having he's trying to show off. I know this was a show off moment to Skip because him and Skip are having a discussion about it. And Skip is like, well, he should come to Dallas. And Shannon's like, yeah, he ain't going to no Dallas. And he ain't staying in Atlanta. And he's like, you want me to tell you something? I'll call him right now, see what he said. Called him on air. He didn't tell him, hey.
I didn't see that part.
Yeah, he didn't tell him, say, hey, you on air. He didn't say nothing like that. He just called him and said, hey. So, what's this? You gonna go to Dallas? He said, man, come on, man. He said, so what's this? You gonna stay in Atlanta? He said, no, I'm out of there. And so that was the first moment that anybody had heard anything about Julio Jones coming out. And so that's why I say, and it probably hurt Shannon a little bit. I'm not going to say it hurt him a lot. But it probably hurt him a little bit because people were like, dang, Shannon to do that to you.
Yeah, without
like,
telling you. Yeah.
Not warning you, like, bro, you on air. He said it afterwards, like, oh, you're on air, right? But he done already gave you the tea.
But no, I think the journalists, they do have. I think you have some responsibility as a journalist to tell people, like, especially if the person's that.
Some.
Yeah. I think, you're right, because there's some people who don't, or there's some people who take too much of the liberty and be like, oh, I'm gonna hold this for my book.
Right.
I'm gonna hold this for a book, or I'm gonna hold this for my front page of
But then that's
the
basis
paper.
Of their, I guess their persona, their, what is it called, self-image or whatever. I don't know what the word would be, but like their ethics.
Yeah.
On how they roll things, how their character really rolls, but.
I look at them like lawyers,
Yeah.
As long as they can make money off of you, they loyal to you. And once they no longer can monetize off of you, that's when they, cash in. And so that's when you see those book deals and stuff like that happen. Because I'll tell you something right now. I guarantee you if Allen Iverson passed away, not too long after, Stephen A. probably would drop a tell-all book saying, hey, these are the things that happen behind the scenes. Allen Iverson, you don't have him to dispute it, or say, I didn't want you to say that no more. It kind of gives you your way to cash in on all those secrets, And so, I mean, I'm not saying that he would do that, but I'm saying that, at that point, you don't necessarily have to take it to the grave. You can actually monetize off of it, and most people do.
I think taking it to the grave is exactly what you're supposed to do. That's what is your character is based off, unless that person has given you the okay to do so. To put it in a book or to an article or whatever, but
yeah.
But I think also they trust them with some certain things that they are like, hey, you can use that when I'm gone,
right?
As a biography, because some people love to be talked about when they're not when they're no longer relevant.
So you better get that in writing, because then they start checking out your actual character and is this really true? Are you being honest and all?
Yeah.
So you better double check your facts.
That's why I think because I think that's the conversation that people want to have. You always want to have that conversation after people die. And I think that's the conversation you really want to have. Like, who was this person really? And I think that helps the conversation after a person dies to kind of like help people, because like we only like as a society, especially with these type of profile people, you only get a certain level of exposure to them, and so it's like how we're talking about like the images like. You think about when all this Bill Cosby stuff started coming out, like he was America's dad, like
yep.
We had funk with him about how he talked about black folks sometimes and all that, but we still appreciated everything that he did for black culture. So when this came out, it was like no way, you feel me? And you hearing all these stories, it's like, bruh, and they did documentaries talking about his personal life. We like Bill Cosby, you talking about Mr. Huxtable?
Yeah.
Cliff Huxtable? You Theo Dad? Like, it didn't make any sense, I mean, he didn't cuss in his material, we talking about one of the first, he almost integrated TV. I'm talking about, you see all that, and then you hear this, and you're just like, it don't sound right. And so I think it helps humanize the people that we idolize.
Yes.
And some people are not willing to accept them being humanized, but it does humanize them in a way that I think that we should humanize people so that they're not always idolized and worshipped for forever in time.
Yes, that is a big one.
Last thing, speaking of being humanized, did you believe what Scotty said about Phil?
Oh, the racist thing?
Yeah.
The racist thing.
Sticking with the sports.
I don't.
Scottie Pippen called Phil Jackson a racist.
I don't. I do believe that, I do believe that two things can be true.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that Phil Jackson could have been closed-minded about the knowledge that he had about black people in that time, I don't necessarily believe that he was racist. I mean, I don't really like. He didn't show me racist qualities even when it came to his coaching style. Like, Phil really, even in his coaching, he didn't even, like, when you see the guys play, he didn't do very much interacting with them. He kind of let them, he felt like he taught them well enough to be able to do their thing. Like, it didn't seem like he had any control issues with the players. I've never heard. Scottie Pippen is the only person that I hear talking about this, and I just feel like he is in a position to where he wants to be in the discussion for something. I don't know what it is.
I think it was because of The Last Dance put so many people, like, I think with the Future stuff with him and Future and his ex-wife, and then The Last Dance, people were like,
painted him bad.
He was painted in a bad light. And so I think this is his chance to be like that light was different color.
Or was it because, I'm not going to lie, before that came out, we kind of cherished Scottie. Like,
yeah, true.
And then when you seen that, you was like, Scottie, dog, you not that one, bro.
A little less, like, Like, we felt bad for Scottie because he was in Mike's shadow. But then we were like,
realize why?
Like when Scottie had the chance, because when he had the chance, he got close.
You got a pissy attitude, dog.
True.
You got a pissy attitude. No wonder why Phil seemed racist to you. You got a stunk of attitude. I would have probably seemed racist to you. Come on, dog. That was just full of baloney to me. I despise when people do that. Like,
yeah,
the racist tag. And let's be real. The racist tag is an overstated one because everybody's racist. Everybody's racist. You see somebody driving down the street and they driving terribly, you automatically stereotype comes into your head. You think old or Asian. It just happens. We stereotype everybody. So racism is the fabric of people.
Mm-hmm.
Acting on it is the difference. You know, I can say, you know, I could be driving down the street and see somebody driving like that and be like, damn, that got to be an Asian or an old person. You know, now when I roll down my window and say, God damn it, you stinking Asian, that's, you know, that's me acting on that racism. That turns that into actual hate.
Yeah.
You know? And so that's my thing. I can't say that, you know, Phil probably didn't have, you know, a disconnect with the black community. He was, you know, I wouldn't say he was a wealthy white guy at that time because he was new to the job. So, I mean, we don't know how wealthy he was, but he could have been, you know? So he probably could be very disconnected with black community and just knew basketball. That's it. But, I mean, it's not like he said, you know, like, it's not like he was like, you know what, we can't do it with all these, you know, N-words. And, of course, let's put all the white dudes out there.
Yeah.
You feel me? It's not like he was operating like that. Or, you feel me? Let's make this environment the best place for the white players. And it didn't seem like he had that type of relationship with them. And, Scottie, if you thought he was racist, why you hugging on him after all them finals wins and stuff like that? You feel me? Like, you hugging and all that, smoking cigars with the man, he racist.
That's true.
Scottie,
and the 50th anniversary, you hugged up on him, you giving him awards and stuff.
He racist, though. No, Scottie got issues. Scottie got, maybe he got abandonment issues because, I don't even know, because Michael Jordan left, you know, came back, and maybe that time he left, he felt abandoned, and he never recouped from that. And that's what it sounded like.
True.
Because it sounded like he was good until Jordan left, and once Jordan left and all that responsibility came on him, he couldn't handle that. And when Jordan came back, it was cool, but once Jordan left again, the responsibility, I mean, Portland, Houston, all those teams, he burnt out on every single one of those teams because he can't handle the responsibility. He can't handle the spotlight. Now he want it. It's too late, Scottie. You 50-something, 60-something. It's too late, you know? Like, bro.
Close to 60.
You should have took advantage of it when you had it. You know, you won a couple rings without Jordan. doing what it is, we'd probably be talking about you different, you know. But you had a little hissy fit when Jordan was gone, and now we talk about you like this. That's crazy. That dude lost his mind.
But I think we're about to get out of here. It's getting hot.
It is very hot.
Yeah,
Getting.
I know.
It's been.
There can
You
yeah.
called me stupid today. I might fry
I
some
have
more
not.
brain.
Oh
It's so hot in here. I might fry some more brain cells.
my God. Oh, Lord.
Thank y'all for tuning in to Black Pew Podcast. We'll see y'all next week. Hit us up. We're on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Peace.
Peace.